In early April 2025, a tragic event shook the city of Pocatello, Idaho. The incident not only stunned the local community but also drew nationwide attention, particularly through posts on the social media platform X, where thousands expressed outrage and grief. Victor Perez, a 17-year-old teenager with autism and cerebral palsy, was fatally shot by police in his own backyard. The death of Victor Perez sparked heated debates about how police handle situations involving individuals with disabilities, the accountability of law enforcement, and the gaps in police training across the United States. To uncover the details, let's dive into the case and investigate the truth together. And don't forget to like and subscribe to ensure you don't miss any new true crime cases. Pocatello, a small city with a population of about 56,000 located in southeastern Idaho, is known as a peaceful community. However, the shooting on April 5, 2025 shattered the city's tranquility, exposing deep-seated issues regarding how authorities interact with individuals with special needs. Victor Perez, a Puerto Rican teenager, became the center of this heartbreaking story when he was shot 9 times by 3 police officers just seconds after they arrived at the scene. The incident began with a 911 call from a neighbor reporting a domestic disturbance at the Perez family's home. What followed from the moment police arrived, how they handled the situation, to the tragic outcome raised numerous questions about law enforcement protocols and approaches to mental health crises or disability-related cases. Videos from police body cameras and a neighbor's security camera, released later, provided a visual account of Victor's final moments, but also fueled public outrage, as many believed the officers acted too hastily. The Perez family, who had moved from Puerto Rico to Pocatello in search of a better life, now faces the devastating loss of a beloved member. They described Victor as gentle, easily overwhelmed, but never intending harm. The Pocatello community, along with activists nationwide, has organized protests, candlelight vigils, and calls for reforms in how police handle similar situations. The case also highlighted the challenges faced by families with disabled members, particularly when interacting with law enforcement agencies that may lack adequate training in disability awareness. This report will detail the Victor Perez case in chronological order, covering the initial report, police actions, the victim's personal background, the causes of the conflict, and an analysis of related factors. The goal is to provide a comprehensive, unbiased overview based on reliable sources, while highlighting the social and legal issues exposed by the incident. At 5:22 p.m. on April 5, 2025, the Pocatello Police Department's 911 dispatch center received an emergency call from Bridger Andrus, a neighbor living near the Perez family's home in the 700 block of North Harrison Avenue. The call lasted approximately 3 minutes, during which Bridger described an unusual situation unfolding in the neighboring yard. According to the call's audio transcript, released on April 17th, Bridger reported that a young man, later identified as Victor Perez, was holding a large kitchen knife and appeared to be chasing someone in the yard. He stated, "There's a guy out there. Looks like he's drunk, holding a big knife and chasing someone. I'm not sure what's going on, but it looks dangerous." Bridger provided further details, noting 3 people in the yard, a woman and 2 men, and mentioned hearing shouting in Spanish. He emphasized that none of them seemed to speak English, which made it difficult for him to fully understand the situation. He also described the young man with the knife as walking unsteadily and acting strangely, but did not mention any information about disabilities or mental health conditions. When asked by the dispatcher if anyone was directly threatened, Bridger responded, "I'm not sure, but I think they need help. It looks like they're trying to take the knife from him." The dispatcher quickly relayed the information to the nearest patrol officers, describing the situation as a domestic disturbance involving a drunk man with a large knife, possibly trying to stab someone. This information was transmitted via radio to 4 officers on duty, 3 patrol officers, and 1 supervisor. The report does not indicate whether the dispatcher asked Bridger additional questions about factors such as disabilities or mental health crises. nor is there evidence that the language barrier was fully communicated to the officers. Bridger Andress later told East Idaho News, Bartoir.com, that he called 911 out of concern for the Perez family's safety, not to provoke an armed confrontation. He explained, "I saw them trying to take the knife from him, and I thought the police could help calm things down. I never expected it to turn out like this." He also noted that the Perez family were friendly neighbors, but he was unaware of Victor's health conditions, only observing that he often moved slowly and did not communicate verbally. Meanwhile, at the Perez household, the situation had been unfolding for about 15 minutes before the 911 call was made. Security camera footage from a neighbor's house captured Victor sitting on the ground, holding a knife, while his 16-year-old sister and another man, possibly a family member, attempted to talk to him. A woman, believed to be Victor's mother, stood nearby, repeatedly calling his name in Spanish. There were no clear signs that Victor was attacking anyone, but his random waving of the knife caused concern among those around him. The dispatcher classified the call as high priority due to the involvement of a weapon, prompting the immediate deployment of 4 officers to the scene. This decision aligned with Pocatello Police Department protocols but was later criticized for not seeking additional information from the caller to fully assess the situation. The call ended at 5:25 p.m. as officers confirmed they were en route to the scene. 4 Pocatello Police Department officers arrived at the Perez family's home at 5:25 p.m., just 3 minutes after the 911 call. They parked their patrol vehicles about 50 meters from the house and quickly approached the front yard, where Victor and family members were located. The officers were equipped with handguns, and one carried a shotgun. As seen in footage from the body cameras of 2 officers, released later, they advanced toward a chest-high metal fence separating the Perez yard from the sidewalk. Upon arrival, the officers drew their weapons and began shouting, "Drop the knife," in English. Body camera footage shows Victor sitting on the ground, holding a kitchen knife, seemingly unaware of the police presence. Within 16 seconds, the officers repeated the command 5 times, with no apparent attempt to communicate with the family members present or de-escalate the situation. As Victor began to stand, moving unsteadily toward the fence, 3 of the 4 officers opened fire, shooting a total of 9 rounds that struck him. Victor collapsed immediately, and the officers entered the yard, beginning first aid. One officer requested an ambulance, while others attempted to control the bleeding. An ambulance arrived at 5:30 p.m., transporting Victor to Port Neuf Medical Center. Family members, including Victor's mother and sister, were escorted into the house for safety. But there are no reports indicating they were questioned or informed about the situation at the scene. Body camera and neighbors' security camera footage showed the officers acting quickly, but there were no signs of non-lethal measures such as tasers or pepper spray. The metal fence, approximately 1.2 meters high, was a significant factor, as it separated Victor from the officers, reducing the likelihood that he could pose an immediate threat. The officers later reported that they felt an immediate threat from Victor, based on him holding the knife and moving toward them after Victor was taken away. Police secured the scene and collected evidence, including the knife, Victor's clothing, and shell casings. Family members were allowed to leave after providing contact information, but no officers remained to provide emotional support. All 4 officers were placed on administrative leave immediately following the incident. Per standard Pocatello Police Department protocol, Victor Perez, born on August 15, 2007, was a Puerto Rican teenager living in Pocatello, Idaho, with his family. He had severe autism and cerebral palsy, resulting in a cognitive capacity equivalent to that of a 5-year-old and an inability to communicate verbally. Victor did not understand English, responding only to Spanish. The primary language of his family, his unsteady gait and limited mobility were due to cerebral palsy, causing him to lose balance easily and require assistance with daily activities. The Perez family moved from Puerto Rico to Pocatello in 2017, seeking job opportunities and a safe environment. Victor's parents, Juan Perez and Maria Delgado, worked in the service industry, while Victor and his 16-year-old sister, Sophia, attended local schools with special support programs. Victor was enrolled in a high school with a dedicated aide, but often stayed home in the afternoons due to medical needs. Victor was described as gentle, enjoying salsa music and playing with the family's pet dog. However, his autism made him prone to agitation in noisy environments or around strangers. The family had a behavior management plan, including placing Victor in a quiet room and using calming techniques. But these methods were not applied on the day of the incident as the situation unfolded in the yard. The family lived in a small rented house, with the front yard being a place where Victor often played. They maintained good relationships with neighbors, but few were aware of Victor's disabilities. Ana Vasquez, Victor's aunt, stated that he never left the house alone and was always supervised. However, he sometimes took household items, like the kitchen knife. When unattended, Victor had a complex medical history, with periodic hospitalizations for cerebral palsy management. He took medication to control seizures and had a behavioral therapist visit twice weekly. The family had no prior record of police calls, and they had never reported Victor exhibiting violent behavior. According to the investigation into the causes of the conflict and Victor's agitation, around 5:00 p.m. on April 5th, Victor became agitated after hearing a loud noise from a passing truck. According to his mother, Maria, Victor began pacing in the yard, a common self-stimulatory stimming behavior in individuals with autism. His sister, Sophia, tried to bring him inside, but Victor was uncooperative, while Sophia and his mother were calming him. Victor entered the kitchen and took a large knife from a drawer. It's unclear why he did so, but the family believes he may have been drawn to the light reflecting off the blade, a behavior previously noted. When Sophia noticed, she tried to take the knife, leading to a brief struggle. Victor, with unexpected physical strength, held onto the knife and began waving it randomly. Maria called a family friend, Carlos Rivera, for assistance. Rivera arrived at 5:10 p.m. and attempted to knock the knife out of Victor's hand with a small stick, but was unsuccessful. Victor sat on the ground, still holding the knife, while the three adults stood around him, speaking in Spanish to calm him. The situation lasted about 10 minutes, drawing the attention of Bridger Andres, a neighbor. Bridger, watching from his window, misinterpreted the scene, believing Victor was threatening others, especially given his unsteady gait and the shouting. Unaware of Victor's autism, he assumed Victor was drunk and called 911 at 5:22 p.m. This call inadvertently escalated the situation, as the information relayed to police was distorted into a drunk man trying to stab someone. The lack of awareness about Victor's disability, combined with the language barrier and the phrasing of the 911 call, created a chain of misunderstandings. The family was unaware of the call until police arrived, leaving them no opportunity to explain the situation or prepare Victor for the officer's presence. The Victor Perez case highlights a range of issues within the law enforcement system, from police training and emergency communication to accountability. First, the officers were not informed of Victor's disability, partly due to how the 911 dispatcher handled the call. Current protocols do not require inquiring about mental health or disabilities, leading officers to approach the situation with incorrect assumptions. Second, the use of lethal force after only 16 seconds indicates a lack of de-escalation techniques. Third, the language barrier was a critical factor. Victor did not understand English, and the officers made no attempt to communicate with the family in Spanish. Despite Pocatello's significant Hispanic community, this increased Victor's confusion and led to an instinctive reaction to the shouting. The death of Victor Perez is a painful reminder of the challenges in protecting individuals with disabilities during crises, from the 911 call to the police response. A series of errors led to an avoidable tragedy. This case calls for reforms in police training, emergency communication, and accountability, while emphasizing the importance of community awareness about disabilities. The Perez family and the Pocatello community continue to seek justice, hoping Victor's story will drive lasting change. To uncover the details, let's dive into the case and investigate the truth together. And don't forget to like and subscribe to ensure you don't miss any new true crime cases.